Okay, I'm late. Sorry about that. I've been up since about 5:30 waiting to take Lucy out because we had a package delivery that was supposed to come. It's food delivery. It's all our groceries and everything being delivered. And it was supposed to come between 8 and 12. And so I'm waiting around because I don't want to be in the middle of doing this and have the stuff come in and I have to start all over again. So I waited, and here I am. Still isn't here, but my wife came back from her doctor's visit and everything, so it was all right. So, all right, what are we going to talk about? This gentleman who was released, I don't remember exactly when, a few days ago or something like that, I guess. Been in jail for 40 years for a crime he did commit. And so he's out, I think, I don't know if he was out hours or what, but ICE picked him up on a 40-year-old immigration case, and they're going to try to deport him now. And he's got no bond. Now, ICE is a Trump organization, so you have to understand that they're vindictive. All right. Now, this guy's got a lot of reasons to dislike the United States. That's probably why they're trying to keep him, because he's probably got some stuff that he wants to say that would reflect badly on various presidents over the years and what have you. But 40 years in jail. He's been in this country for 40 years, not necessarily because he wanted to, be in this country for 40 years. We don't know what he wanted, But now they want him in jail. And must want to bond these relatives or something like that. That was the attorney that convicted him the first time around. So, they don't want to show how they screwed up. And they've already done things like this before. They question ballistics evidence as being not sound evidence anymore. This is the government, and now that this is how he got out. He got out on they didn't turn over certain ballistic information that they should have turned over. So I sit around and I watch stuff like this. I watch the government do stupid shit like this, and I say, hey, what are you going to do, man? Trump's been in office, what, a year, 2 years, a little over a year and a few months, right? And he's coming in and he's saying that, this is his second year. And he's done so much damage that people in the world are saying it can't be undone. I mean, look at it's frustrating. Look at the Epstein files, whatever you want to call them. And look what's happening in Europe. People are resigning left and right from corporations, management councils, management organization just closed down. They're closing their businesses down. Their government officials are resigning because of their association with Epstein. And here we have Trump, we know associated with Epstein, and he's just going, well, I didn't do anything wrong, I had money, so I was able to grab him by the pussy. This is Donald Trump at his best, folks. So if you think this is his best, then I sure hope you don't walk in traffic, all right? Be careful when you cross the street. This is just getting to be so stupid. I mean, we are an embarrassment to the world, all right? And they're telling us there's a new order out there. Well, maybe we do need a new order. But we need it with younger people, not old, rich pricks coming out of the woodwork to take over governments and whatnot, you know. Uh, Now here's an interesting thing. I've often quoted uh, Orwell's 1984, but I've very seldom, and I've quoted not quite as often, The Handmaid's Tale. And these two books are some of the most popular books in the world right now due to the fact that Trump is president and he is in the process of converting this country to an Orwell is the author. So is it Orwellington? I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. He's trying to convert it to that dystopian government that doesn't work, you know. You can't have governments like we have right now and expect us to survive, because they're ignorant of the fact of what's going on with humanity. All they want is money and power, and they're not following what's happening with humanity. And humanity has got maybe, before we have to start killing each other over food, water, necessities of life, which is, in my estimation, will begin somewhere in the next 10 years. Right? So we need to figure that out. We have to do something about mental health issues. We've got kids out there and people out there going around killing massive amounts of people. For what reason? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make sense to them in some cases, you know. There's just no meaning to all this. So what's that mean? Well, what the kids are concerned is we're not teaching kids how to think. We're not teaching kids how to deal with their problems, emotional and otherwise. Now, as a young man, if I broke up with a girl, I'd be in tears and I'd be mad. Sometimes I'd punch walls, but I never thought about killing anybody. You know, I had juvenile reactions as a young adult. You know, and then once I stopped drinking, I stopped having those problems, and I stopped drinking when I was 40. So, you know, I had those problems for a lot of years. Emotional breakups, you know. If I broke up with the girl, it was okay. If they broke up with me, I broke down, you know. And I learned all about that. I spent time in therapy and whatnot, and I got that all together. But that's because I wanted answers. Now, see, that's the thing. People think if you send a kid to a counselor, that's automatically going to solve the problem. If the kid doesn't want to go to the counselor, but you force him to go to the counselor, it's not going to work. You're wasting your time and energy. All right? The theory about psychology is that if you want help, you have to ask for it. You have to be willing to listen to it. You know, you have to want it. You can't be told you need therapy, because you're not going to listen to that. You're not going to pay attention to that. It's not going to sink in. You're not going to allow the processes to take place. And the other side of the coin is there are various types of therapy. I wanted the group therapy, and before I knew what I was running, I was in charge of the group because I was smarter than everybody else in the group. I noticed trends in the group that nobody seemed to notice. So I was smarter than other people. And I didn't feel smarter than other people, but I knew, what I said is, I'm out of here. You know, I can't do this crap anymore. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then I went to, I got really fucked up. I started to have suicidal thoughts and everything else, and I went to, I don't know, I don't even remember the guy. Part of the deal is you forget about the guy after you leave and everything like that. And I pretty much did, but it was in association with Morristown Hospital. No, it wasn't Morris. It was some other hospital right in Morristown. I forget the name of it. It wasn't right in Morristown. It was off Route 46. And it helped. I went in. I would come out of there, and I would get in the car and drive, and not where and not have any idea how I wound up where I was. I was basically being hypnotizing myself, or he was hypnotizing me. Anyhow, it took hold, and he said, I said, what do you think? He said, I think I'm kind of okay now. And he said, yeah, go ahead. All right, thank you very much. And I did. The guy did me a world. I don't remember his name. He should still be around because he was younger than me, I believe. So he should be, maybe he's still around, and I hope he's helped a lot of other people, and I hope he hasn't had any problems himself. Because that's a tough racket when you start dealing with other people's problems and you try to solve them, I used to, when I attended bar, I used to get people coming up to me and ask me for advice, talk to me about problems. And I would say, well, why don't, in sincerity, I would say, this, I would try to help, and then they would go around and do whatever they fucking wanted to anyhow. And I sat down with myself and I said, you can't keep doing this. You're fucking yourself up, So I stopped doing that. But that's a problem we have. We don't care anymore, Neighborhoods. When I lived in Parsippany for quite a few years. Almost 30 years, a little over 30 years I think I was there. I'm not sure the exact number. And I lived in the same address, a garden apartment complex. When I moved in, I knew everybody that lived in there. I think I said this before. I knew everybody in the apartments in my courtyard. Everybody. And I knew others outside the courtyard too. And we were friendly like people are down here. You say hello to people, they ask about you and stuff like that, which they do down here. They care. Whether it's real or not, they act like they care, And all of a sudden, over a period of time, I realized I don't know anybody here, and nobody gives a shit about anybody else, I used to care about what went on in the building, because I lived there. Nobody else gave a shit, Stray animals, I've always cared about stray animals. I saw one this morning. I asked her, "Is that your dog?" No, and then it was a young puppy, and it went back the way it came, and I hope it's all right. No collar, no nothing, because that's what people do down here. It's what they used to do in New Jersey. They don't like, they want the dog anymore. They don't want to put the dog down, so they turn it loose. And the dog becomes scared and shy and very difficult to catch. Ends up getting picked up by the town. The towns are not no-kill shelters, so within 7 days or something like that, the dog's put down. It's criminal. Well, people are the same way. If you don't help somebody, if you don't, I don't know how you help some people. I really don't. You can care and whatnot, but when it comes to mental health, I don't know what to do about that anymore because people don't listen. They don't pay attention to you. You have to pay attention to them. And they don't. Nobody pays attention to anybody anymore. Some of these incidences, you can go up and say, well, I think this guy's nuts. And I don't mean it like that, but I think this person has some problems. I think, something should be done. And you tell that to the cops. Cops can't do nothing about it. They can't. The person's not asking for help. If the person asks for help, then there are agencies and whatnot that are available. The problem is not all these people are well trained. Not all these people are any good at what they do, So it becomes difficult, and we end up with the situation we do now, Everybody's looking at Trump and saying he's losing his mind, but nobody's doing anything about it. Why? Because he's president of the United States? I don't care if he's, president of the universe. Right? But he doesn't want any help because he thinks his narcissism refuses to allow himself to have any faults. So, all right, what happened? Today's Fat Tuesday. It's the end of the Mardi Gras season, which started January 6th. With a series of parades and whatnot, and there's a big parade today. Generates a ton of garbage. The last time I was down there but that was quite a few years ago, and they had already begun restricting public drinking and whatnot like that. So that became a dull thing again, you know. I'm sure a lot of people go to it because it's a fun party, you know, and it's a traditional thing. You get some great music. That's the one thing I can tell you. The music's outstanding. You know, it's like, but more people I think go to the New Orleans Jazz Festival. It's I think that's 2 weeks or something. There's a jazz festival, and I think there's a might be another one that goes along with it, rock. I'm not sure, but that's supposedly blues, jazz and blues, and that's just outstanding. You want some serious music? That's outstanding. You know, especially if you get to see these obscure blues people that you might have listened to once or twice if you're a big blues fan like me, but you've never seen and you don't know you really don't know what they sound like in person. You know, are they any really? But they're really, really great. They just don't. No clubs want to play that, you know, sponsor that kind of music anymore. It's a, you know, pretty much of a, like you want to be an oldies band or something like that. Now, another interesting fact. I mean, I know I'm running over my time, but that's the breaks. Well, you know what? I'm going to do this live. This other story I'm going to do live. So that's it for me today. I'm sorry I'm late, but I can't help it. I told you, life interferes with these videos that I make, you know, so that's just the way it is. So anyhow, you guys all take care. Hit the subscribe button on your way out, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.